everybody. It's your old pal, the Moo Cow, here with
Lenore. Hi.
Hi, and we are here to do a quick review of another indie movie for you for Indie Film Cafe. So this time it's a little bit different. Instead of doing a horror movie, we decided to do an indie film, and it's actually a kind of an interesting film. It's an animal film that was made back in 1974 called Animals Are Beautiful People. And it's an independent film. The man who made it is named James Uys, U-Y-S. He's a South African director who made a whole bunch of different films, but is probably best known for the 1980 hit The Gods Must Be Crazy. And then he followed that up with The Gods Must Be Crazy Part 2. And he did a bunch of other films. And he's a South African filmmaker. And this particular movie he made, I remember when I was a kid, I watched it on HBO when we first got it, and it's called Animals Are Beautiful People, and it's all about the different animals that live in the southwestern portion of Africa, in the Namib Desert and the Kalahari Desert, and near the Kavango Basin, and the pre-Namib Desert, and it's just a fascinating look at the animals there, and it's kind of done. I don't want to say it's like a kiddie kind of a movie. I mean, it is a little bit. They add some extra little kind of extra funny noises and funny stuff that they put in the soundtrack, but it's a pretty serious and sobering look. Even though the narrator actually kind of makes a few jokes as well. But the really good thing about it is that it's a nice documentary on an area of the world that really doesn't get a whole lot of attention. And it and all the animals, I remember, captured my imagination when I was a kid. And I always thought it was really cool. And it has this great classical music soundtrack. So with the animals and with the music and with the visuals, I thought it would be kind of a fun thing to show Miss Lenore here, because I'm always showing her, horrible monster movies, either really good ones or really bad ones. So I thought, this is an independent film. This is a South African film. And I thought we would talk about this one today. So, Lenore, what did you think of Animals Must Be Beautiful People, or Animals Are Beautiful People?
I liked it a lot. Also, I'm sorry for the viewers. I grabbed a popsicle.
That's okay. Hey, this is Indie Film Cafe, and we do have snacks and coffee. So, but continue, please.
Well, I actually just really liked it. I learned a lot. I definitely had favorite scenes in this. I think my favorite scenes were when all the animals get drunk.
That's right.
On
Marulu fruit, right. There's a particular tree that grows this marulu fruit, and in the high summer, it all starts to get ripe, and then all the animals start scrambling after to try and get some because it's tasty fruit. But after a while,
it ferments.
Well, it gets overripe, and it all starts to fall to the ground, and as soon as that happens, all the animals wade in. I mean all of them. And they all just wade right in and start stuffing themselves like crazy, as you would with free food. And then all the fruit ends up fermenting in their stomachs, and they get drunk, and they're all just acting like crazy drunk animals. It's a lot of fun. So that was cool. What else did you like?
That scene where that one guy finds water by capturing the baboon.
Right. So in addition to the animals, you also get to see some of the people who are living in that part of the world. So we're talking Kalahari Bushmen, and I forget the other tribesmen that they had there. But it's interesting because you get to see them socializing, and the elders are talking to the kids about the animals. And this is the kind of tribe that doesn't use a normal linguistic form of language in order to communicate. They use a series of clicks and popping sounds. I forget what that's called. There's a particular language for that. But that's what they do. And not only that, but they tell it in such a way that two elders are telling them at the same time. So they're both talking to them in stereo, both clicking and popping at the same time, and mimicking the animals. And the film is edited in such a way that while the elders are describing the animals that they're talking about, like springbuck or like a giraffe, and they're showing the giraffe doing this, you're cutting to see the actual animal itself.
And while that's happening, the kids look like they're laughing a
Oh
lot.
yeah. Kids are having a great time. It was pretty cool. So there's a certain level of anthropology going on as well, which is really interesting, and it's a theme that this director revisits in a number of his other movies, in particular with The Gods Must Be Crazy. So it's nice to see him sort of begin that way with this particular film. What about the music? What did you think of the music?
To be honest, I think it goes in the background a little compared to all of the animals, but you do definitely notice it because they time everything to the music perfectly.
Right. And, you know, if there is a criticism about the film, it may be that because of the way the film is edited, you can tell that certain things might have been possibly staged. Things are edited in such a way as to make it look not particularly real. I know they reversed the film a couple of times for the sake of making things look more ridiculous than they actually are. And yeah, I mean, those are kind of sort of minor things, and you know, maybe some of the extra silly noises didn't really need to be in there either. It didn't really bother me. I was pretty much fascinated with the animals and with the visuals themselves. It didn't bother me.
The sand snake.
Oh yeah, the sand snake. You get to see a sidewinder, and you don't really think about the reason why a snake is called a sidewinder until you see it moving, and it's just choo, 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 choo.
It looks like it's trying to jump constantly.
It's amazing, and it's fast. It's really fast. And there's a whole lot of really fascinating animals in this part of the world. So, and like I was telling Lenore earlier, you know, you got to figure, I mean, this is 1974, so this is 50 years ago almost, and you have to wonder with global warming how much of this is still there. I mean, I assume the Kavango River Basin is still there. I know it's a national preserve in Africa, but I can only hope that the animals are still happy and living their lives in a watery paradise, and that it's not much worse for them. In the pre-Nabid, that's the part where it's really particularly tragic, because they'll have water for maybe 3 months, and all of a sudden for 9 months it'll go dry. And oh yeah, so it's not just a happy film. There are a number of scenes where you have to see a number of animals die, because the filmmakers are showing what life is like, and that's what happens in the wild. There are animals that live and there are animals that die. Well, in this particular occasion, they're talking about the dry season coming too early for this one group of pelicans, brown pelicans, and they have to fly away before the young are ready to fly, and the lake is dried, and there's nothing they can do. And so the poor things are just wandering around in the desert looking for water, and they can't find any. And one by one, they all start dying. Man, it's a sin. It's just awful. But I mean, there's like 5,000 of these little, pelican chicks. What are the filmmakers supposed to do? They really can't give them water, not enough water. So they film it so that people can be educated about what happens, and perhaps, be a little bit more appreciative of their own lives. But the good thing is that towards the end, the rains do finally come, and when they come, of course, it presents a whole different set of problems, because all of a sudden now you've got flash floods, and there are a bunch of poor hedgehogs that get swept up, and a few other critters. But it's really, really cool, and it's told in such a way that you're examining each portion. You go from the red Namib to the white Namib to the pre-Namib to the Kalahari, and you get to see how all the different areas have changed over the millennia, and how all the different animals have managed to, and plants too, by the way, and insects, have managed to adapt to their surroundings. And it's really a fascinating film, I thought.
Yeah. The weaver bird's nest had been on fire.
Yeah, the poor weaver birds. They show how the weaver birds in the white Kalahari, I believe, because it's I think it's in the pre-Nabib. I guess because it's drier, they build their nests in colonies, and unfortunately, a drop of water hangs in such a way that it catches the light of the sun, and it focuses it like a magnifying glass and sets the dry shrub on fire, and all the poor chicks die.
Yeah.
That was a shame. But the one thing you talked about was the guy who caught the baboon. So this was really cool. Guy's looking for water, and they were showing how the bushman knows exactly what kind of a scrub to sort of unearth, and he finds this big bulbous roots, and he shaves off a bunch of stuff, and you think it's just like nothing.
Squeezes it and points his
Right,
mouth
squeezes it and it gets water out. It's like he knows how to do that, but the other guy, that's not part of his toolkit, so he doesn't know how to do that. But instead, what he does is he manages to trap a monkey, and he does it in such a great way. He takes some melon seeds and he sticks it with a pole into a termite hole, and he just sits back and watches.
And the baboon is wary because I guess they know to recognize humans, but curiosity gets the best of him. He goes over and he reaches into the hole and grabs a handful of melon seeds, and now he can't get his arm back out because he's holding onto the seeds, and
he's a dumb monkey.
He doesn't think to let the seeds go. So the human goes up behind him and ties a rope around him.
So now he's got a monkey, and so you're thinking, well, what's that going to do? Well, then he feeds the monkey salt.
Yeah, he ties it to a tree and then feeds it salt.
So, and of
then
course,
waits.
yeah, the monkey's like, nom 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 nom.
Because salt is like candy to monkeys.
Right. And then all of a sudden he becomes a very thirsty monkey.
And he waits overnight. Then he goes and unties the monkey that morning because then it's too thirsty to care about who's following him.
Boosh! He runs straight to the water source.
And he follows.
And the guy follows, and now the guy knows where the water is. So it was a very clever way of getting water from the monkey without harming the monkey or anything too, which was nice.
Yeah, it was. I would not have been able to think of any of that in the desert.
Right. It's really a neat, entertaining, and amazing film, and the fact that it's made in such a way that you can show your kids this too. It's very family friendly, although yes, there are going to be some animal deaths there, so you might have to. It might be a trigger thing you have to do with your kids, and it is kind of sad. But overall, it's quite an excellent film, and it's a really good indie film. And I think if you take the trouble to go out and find it, I think you'll really enjoy it. And it's a shame that a lot of people don't either they don't know about it or they have forgotten about it. And I think it's a really good movie to unearth and show everyone. So were you glad that I showed it to you?
Yeah, it was a good movie.
There you go.
Also, the snake just looked so goofy.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff, and the way it's shot definitely shows some ridiculous things.
That tapping beetle.
Right.
Anytime a tapping noise played from a different part of the, regardless of where it was, even if it was in a completely different part of the desert, anytime a tapping noise was there, like it wasn't a woodpecker, was it? It was a hornbill?
Well, there was a few things that were tapping.
Anytime they played a tapping noise from another animal, they'd cut back to this footage of the tapping beetle, and they'd sync up the tapping.
Right. Well, the tapping beetle's looking for its mate, and that's how it's looking, as it's tapping. So. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for this short review. It's a little bit different, like I say, but it is an indie film, and it was a pretty fun film.
It was educational. They never explained where that fish in that river that pond that only exists for 3 months comes from.
Well, I think just like the seeds in the desert that germinate only when rain comes, I think there are fish eggs that just lay there dormant until the water comes. It's most likely the same sort of thing. So that's just the way that they've adapted over the years. But we're going to wrap this up and tell you to go out there and get your hands on this film. It's called Animals Are Beautiful People. See if you can find it, and yes, they are definitely beautiful. So check it out, and we will see you guys later on the flip side.
Bye.
Bye.